we're on. So while we are doing that, I'm so grateful to welcome you, Shannon. And I'm going to probably do this a couple of times while we're building some traffic. And I'm actually going to send a quick little text to my
Yeah,
good media maven. Here we go.
and if you want to send me the
Oh, go
link, I'll
ahead.
share it on my Facebook page as well. Well, let's see. I'll share it real
Thank
quick. Yeah, let's see. Hang on.
Hi, everybody. Folks are streaming in. Thank you so much. So glad to have you. We're on Rhythmia's Facebook page and on a couple of other platforms as well. So we're so grateful. Thank you for joining us today, everybody, as people are starting to come into the loving room on our love stream today. So I want to be so grateful and welcome you all for joining us with Shannon Woodruff, who is an amazing individual. I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity and pleasure to meet you, Shannon. And Shannon is really involved in modern mindfulness, and she's a meditation enthusiast, a reformed hustle mama, which we want to talk about, and belief clearing practitioner, mother of 3 tween girls, happy wife, and a businesses owner. And Shannon manages her busy life and all of the above, and also as one of the directors of Guidely, a new platform for connecting seekers with guides. And over the past few years, Shannon has undergone a deep transformational experience that has caused her to step back and evaluate the impact that she's making in the world and take a deep dive into her personal purpose, how to show up more authentically in all aspects of her life, to clear away outmoded ways of being and belief systems that no longer serve. And the outcome has been a life that is incredible, with abundant opportunities, and that one that delights her soul. So, and healing, a life of healing. So I'm so grateful to have you, Shannon, because your idea of the collective consciousness and the need to welcome shepherds of light, and that your purpose is to help guide the next wave of light workers to greater awakenings and empowerment and connection through your work. Wow, what a great purpose. Welcome, Shannon Woodruff.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know that bio is floating around somewhere. There have been some updates here and there on that. But for the most part, yes, that's who I am and what I do and how I show up. And I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Thank you. Well, would you like to take a moment and update us on what's going on with you and the changes to the bio?
Yeah, we'll probably get there as the conversation unfolds. But most, what I'm really excited about is my work at Guidely, and that's how we connected several months ago now. And I remember when we first had our alignment call, and we had such a connection and such great conversation, which I now know is something that you have a gift for. Everyone I've talked to who knows you, I love JJ. I'm so connected, and so I also share that sentiment. And yeah, it's so incredible what we're building and what we're doing and how we've connected through that. So
I'm so grateful. So, well, that is a great place to start. You ended up at Guidely, but will you tell us a little bit about your process of germination when you had that deeply transformative experience that caused you to step back and look at your life, where you were then and where you are now, and how you got from there to here?
Yeah, which is what, really what we unpacked, I think, on that first conversation. We connected so deeply on that germination period, because I think so many of us know that we're here to serve and step into greater presence and power, as light workers and light leaders, and connecting people to source and to God, doing our part. As there's this quote I love that's it's Fleet Foxes. It's some indie band. I don't know if you know them, but the quote I love, it's from this song, and it says, I'd rather be a functioning cog in some great machinery, serving something beyond me. And so I always knew that I wanted to serve and step into this role somehow. It started, gosh, I feel like, let me start at the beginning, but I've always been an entrepreneur, hustle mama, so reformed hustle mama. Several businesses under my belt. I started a baby boutique in my early 20s. Economy tanked. I found myself at home with 2 small toddlers and bins of beautiful merchandise. And I started selling it on Etsy, and really started getting into the online marketplace world, and that those beginning stages. So we're talking 15 years ago, and really enjoyed it and achieved success, and it kind of morphed into another business that was a handmade business, if you will. So handmade in the beginning, zipper pouches, reusable snack bags, some boutique clothing items. And that turned into its own business. Hustle Mama was the name of that business. And I, at one point, I had 5 women working for me. We had probably 20 wholesale accounts throughout the country, over 75,000 pieces of merchandise put out. I mean, it was a very successful hustle, and, I was doing over 6 figures a year, and was really exciting. And I got to this point where I remember saying to my husband at the time, like, I just can't anymore. I started this business so I could be home with my kids. And here I am, like, I go to sleep at night and I'm 150 orders rolling through my head, and I'm not going to school to pick them up. We had a sitter helping us. And I just thought, why am I doing this? And why am I not happy? Like, this is what we all want, right? Is this successful hustle and to work for ourselves. And so I really scaled that down, and I had used social media to build that business over, kind of 5 to 6 years. So I really had a good grasp on social media, how it worked, and it's constantly changing. But at the time, I had a great grasp, and I'm pretty adaptable. So I've caught on, as it continues to morph and evolve. And so I used those skills, and I went to work for a digital marketing agency, and I began creating content for other businesses and really using those, tools and skills I had learned to build businesses on social media. So something happened within that agency, and almost overnight, I found myself as my own agency owner. So the agency folded, and my largest client group came to me and said, "We would love for you to write us a contract, continue seamlessly, over into working with you." And so really overnight, I became an agency owner. I had learned a lot during my year with working for the other agency. And, I spent several years then building businesses on social media and really learning, especially soulful entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, small businesses, people who are at the heart of their business. That's who my passion was.
Mm-hmm.
And helping them use these tools or using them for them to really grow their businesses. So very successful. First year, well over 6 figures. Second year, just really easy to run the business. Enjoyed great relationships, but still had that niggling feeling like, what's missing? Why am I not happy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so always through all of these adventures, like, okay, I have the kids, I have the house, I have the business, I have the husband, I have the car, I have the dogs. Why am I still feeling like there's a piece not snapped in?
Yes.
So I took much of 2019 off, and I went on spiritual retreats, and I got to know myself, and I really created a lot of space in my schedule. And being a business owner, I had that, freedom and flexibility. And I really went deep within myself, and found that I had this deep passion to serve. And yes, building businesses on social media, helping entrepreneurs, worthy work, but something bigger was calling me. Something bigger, like bigger than me, bigger than helping people make money, something within my soul. So I actually thought, maybe I'll go into coaching also. Like I'm really big into human design and conscious parenting, and my girls are 15, 13, and 11. So
wow.
Yeah. So I created a couple programs, and it was really hard because nothing stuck. Right. So I would get amped up, and I'd create this framework in this program that was incredible. So 2 or 3 times in 2019, I did this. And I know that these programs are amazing, and maybe still will come out in the world at a future date. Maybe it was just the timing that wasn't right. So created these programs, obviously good at social media, 15,000 followers on Instagram, Facebook page of several thousand. And I'm like, what the heck, right? Where is the misalignment here? So, can be a slow learner too. So what do? I try again with a different program. What do? I try again with a different program. And finally, the end of last year, at the end of 2019, I thought, I didn't think, I felt. I felt in and I surrendered. And I said, if I'm here for something greater, which I know I am, show it to me.
Beautiful question. Beautiful question.
Yeah, and I don't have to hustle. I don't have to earn it. I don't have to prove it. What is meant for me will come for me. And I really didn't just say it. Like I let go. I energetically let go. I released, and I felt I felt grief. I felt grief because I thought I knew how I would create this next chapter, because I was so good at stepping into whatever my next chapter was, whether it was going from a physical boutique owner to, creating a handmade business to a digital marketing agency. Like I thought I would seamlessly step into this next role, but I was not willing to let go of control. So I let go, and there was several really beautiful events that unfolded. I was invited by a local radio station to talk about mindfulness, which I'm very passionate about, mindfulness for youth and teens especially, and even just intentionality and awareness. So, there was that. And then I got this phone call from our CEO, Amir, and he said, hey, I'm thinking of this new project. You want to take a look at it? And he had been one of my marketing clients with one of his other businesses. So for the last several years, we'd known each other. And this was early in 2020. I want to say January.
Okay. Yeah. Can I stop you for a second? Because I want to talk about Guidely, but I want to ask you, that was such a beautiful story of really what we all do, right? Like, okay, well, I'm going to reinvent myself in this way and try it this way, and, throw this up at the wall, see what sticks, roll it up the flagpole, see who salutes, kind of, I think everybody can relate to that. But you said something that really touched my heart and that felt so authentic and powerful. It wasn't until you fully surrendered, and not just said the word surrender, but there was an energetic let go.
Yeah.
Now that is such a moment such a deep transformational moment.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that surrender? What would you say about that? What is the, let's see, what's the question I want to ask? The moment of surrender, what preceded it, and what issued from it?
Yeah, and I can remember the exact moment because I lived at the time at the base of the Phoenix Mountain Preserves, and I have logged thousands of miles on those mountains. And I was out on a hike, and it was morning, and I had just launched my third program, Modern Spiritual Parenting Practicum, and it was a really cool combination of human design, because I've used human design in my family, to help my girls interact with each other and understand each other, and belief clearing and ancestral clearing. It was a beautiful program. I know that it could change lives, and I had one person enroll, and getting close to launch date, and I was like, okay, here you are again, third time this year. Here you are. What is it? What is going on? And I was hiking up the mountain, and I just thought, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm ready to be held. And I felt the mountains, and I felt the sky, and I felt held. And I was like, wow, what's happening here? And I felt whole, and I felt like I can be my purpose in whatever situation I'm in. I don't have to create the situation to live my purpose.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
So I just said, all right, well, I'm done. I'm done creating these situations, because it's clearly not my plan that's working here. And I have this mantra that I've used for years, and it's pretty magic. And I went into this mantra, and it's a human design kind of based mantra. So I'm a generator, which we're designed to respond. And the perfect opportunity really come for us when we're in our vibration and we're really, our motor is purring. And this mantra is the most delightful opportunities are hovering in my field. And I
Mm.
wanted this, and I said it, and I felt it, and I carried it up the mountain and down the mountain and into my car, away from the trail, and into my day, and it became really part of who I was, and it still is. Like I just feel it like running through my energy all the time, and it was an uncomfortable couple of weeks or months, but it wasn't very long between that real surrender and when the opportunity to work on Guidely came along, which is the bigger thing that feels, like the purpose, the service, the heart of really, one of the big pieces that I'm here for.
I love it. And for me, I love that you were walking up a mountain when this moment of surrender, right? Like the metaphor of climbing the mountain. Paul Farmer, who has a beautiful book called Mountains After Mountains, and it was about his work with in Haiti, around providing medical care and food in Haiti. But mountains after mountains, it's like, especially on the spiritual path, right? Each summit, there's another summit, right? And so that metaphor of you climbing the mountain and releasing that which made your way more difficult, right? Like shedding. I just have this image of you climbing and things just shedding from you as you are climbing up the mountain, and as you descend, this sort of goddess descending, right? Like coming down from the mountain. I love the metaphor. It's so beautiful.
But it didn't feel like that because I was also grieving. Like, I think that's a part that's really important, is letting go of what my ego thought it would look like, and in grief over what I had a year, been preparing for, really trying to launch this next chapter. It was very difficult too, to let it go.
And I think that's the key with surrender, is that we have to be willing to experience every aspect of what we're experiencing. So grief was that part for you, but it's like there's not one part of you or of anyone who gets to that moment in life where our back's against the wall, we throw up our hands, and it's like, I can't. We finally stop relying on ourselves. You said I had to stop my own planning, right? Because it clearly wasn't working, right? And we finally stop relying on our little s self and rely on that big self. And in that moment, there's that deep realization, that deep surrender, that every single thing that you are experiencing, every thought, every aspect of you deserves to be loved, no matter what it is. And that's a little uncomfortable, because there are things that we would normally want to push away or suppress.
Yeah.
So this led you to this opening. Right. And I love the mantra that there's, what was it? Wonderful opportunities in my field.
The most delightful opportunities are hovering in my field.
I love that. The most delightful opportunities are hovering in my field, just waiting to be accepted.
Yeah. And I get this feeling of like turning a corner, right? And oh my gosh, there it is. Like, there's the thing that's going to help me, serve me, grow me, heal me, love me, and just continue that like expectation. And they show up.
Well, I mean, it's so consistent with spiritual principle, because the spiritual principle is the fullness of spirit is everywhere present in its fullness, always. It's not like bigger where Deepak Chopra is and somehow smaller where you and I are, right? Or bigger where the Dalai Lama is, but not where, somebody else is. No, it's equally distributed. All of the possibilities present every time. Those delightful opportunities hovering in your experience are waiting for us to accept them.
Yeah.
They're waiting for our acceptance to make them real. So they're like right there. And we have the power to open up to receive that. I love that. I love it.
So we have a guide on the platform, Liana. Do you know Liana?
Not personally.
Well, she said this phrase to me, and I say it a lot now because I can look back and see really how true it's been in my life. And it's probably a common phrase, but you have to move the jalopy to bring in the Rolls Royce. So like hung up on my jalopy, my plan that I thought it had really, once you pull that out of the parking spot, then there's room for your big, beautiful, manifested vehicle to pull into that parking spot. So, but we have to let go of it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, surrender is being willing to give up what you are for what you want to become.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So this led you to Guidely. And there was actually a question. Molly asked a question in the chat about how to spell Guidely. She said she couldn't find it. And I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to talk about Guidely.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's not an app yet. That will be phase 2. So I get this call from Amir, and he says, I'm looking at this project, and would you be interested in doing some marketing pieces around it? Because I feel like this part of the story is important too. And he sent me the link, and at the time it was just a Facebook page. And so Guidely used to be Mentors Channel. Mentors Channel has a long history of serving in the personal and spiritual development space. We hosted the 21-day gratitude meditation with Deepak Chopra, I don't know, probably 8 years ago, went viral, huge, almost 2 million people on our Facebook page, huge email list, really a history in this space. And, he says, I'm going to get involved in this project. Are you interested? And I took a look at it and I'm like, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. So I send over a couple website examples and some other portfolio stuff, thinking that it's going to be a digital marketing position, because that's what I was doing at the time. And him and Jesse, one of the partners, call me back, and Jesse says, yeah, this isn't exactly what we're looking for. And I'm like, oh no, this was the thing, I thought this was it. And then he says, but we're curious, and this may not be something that you do, or if you know someone, but we would like someone to interview the guides for the platform. And they were building at the time, the concept, and it still is to build a marketplace to connect people who are looking for personal and spiritual development, mentorship, and coaching. So really a marketplace where you can be connected with someone who's walked the journey before you. So they say, we're looking for someone to interview the guides. And I'm like, yes.
And you are so good at it, because I was the beneficiary of that beautiful interview.
Thank you. And I had been nudged towards some video work. I was in a commercial last year, the radio spots. Like, there was a lot of weird little, now that I look back, previews or appetizers for what this would be. And it's been incredible. So I came on as doing video interviews, and then it was just a few weeks before I joined the team full time as creative director. So I get to interview all of the guides on our platform. And then also I've interviewed many of the authors here, people who I've had their books for 20 years. I mean, it's incredible. So we have Marsha Weeder next week, and then I think I have Simrit. I don't know if you know who Simrit is. She's a musician, in a few weeks. So it's so much fun. So, and what we're building is huge.
Tell us more about because I was introduced to you to be one of the guides on the app, and I was so honored. And then when I saw the august community, I was really humbled. Like, well, you want me to be on that with those people? Wow. So tell us more about Guidely and where it's at in its growth and manifestation, and kind of what people can expect.
It's incredible, and we are in divine time in our launch and manifestation. So the way that it works is, if you come onto our platform as a client, you're introduced to your guide through a series of short questions. So you come onto the platform, and there's 6 questions, and the questions are like, yes, sorry, Molly, you're spelling it correctly. It's just a website right now, and the product itself isn't live. So it's just guidely.com, Guidely. So I wanted to address it because you popped back in.
Cool. Thanks, Molly.
We answer a few short questions, and the words and your story serve to connect you with a guide who's fit to support you through their story and their modalities. So you're served as many guides as your match two. So I think up to 10 or 15. But in JJ, next match, Liana, so and so. And then you can expand the profile of the guide, and you get to see a series of short interviews between myself and the guide. And those are edited into little bite-sized pieces. There's a whole bio, there's their offerings, which one-on-one coaching is the core of our platform and really what we wanted to support people with, because we believe it's the most sacred container where change takes place.
Yes.
Group workshops are incredible. Retreats are incredible. Even reading a book, but it's that one-on-one container that allows for real transformation. And you get the opportunity to book a discovery call with your guide and then engage into contract with them.
So cool.
It is so cool. So at this point, when we launch, we will have 75 guides. We may have a handful more. We're not sure yet. But 75 for sure, and topics range from relationships, creativity, soul's purpose, trauma healing. I mean, there's a full range of topics that you can come in on and be matched with a really well-qualified guide.
And there was, I was so honored a few months ago to participate in the summit that Guidely offered. Is that still available if people are interested in checking out the wonderful speakers?
It is not. It was just a 30-day only. We had, I think 60 guides participated with us. It was incredible. Deepak Chopra was our keynote speaker. So really amazing. However, we are just getting ready to launch a series of free kind of coaching workshops. So we'll choose two or three guides to come together on a certain topic. So the first one we're looking at is these unsettled times, election, COVID, riots, kind of everything. And it's a short workshop, couple hours long, where we bring in 3 of the guides to work together, and there's breakout rooms, and we'll probably cap that to about 100 participants. But we plan on doing those once a month. Really,
wonderful.
To showcase our guides, to serve our community, and to create awareness and healing within that space.
So I definitely want to continue the conversation about Guidely, but I also, you're just such an incredible individual. I want to know some more about you. You had said that some of the deep work that you did was clearing away old belief systems that no longer served you. Do you feel comfortable sharing some of those old structures that you have cleared out the underbrush from?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really funny with belief structures because we don't see them and we keep bumping into them, right? They frame everything that we do and every choice that we make and the words that we say. And in particular, one that I'd held on to for a long time was around travel and my kind of worthiness and abundance and spending money on travel and treating myself. And I had my girls when I was very young, and we were not financially able to support, an adventurous lifestyle like that. And then we were, and we did not shift the beliefs around it. I, in particular, did not shift the beliefs around it. And so a lot of my work last year was around identifying these limiting beliefs, like when I take time away, it's too expensive, or it's too inconvenient, or who will take care of the girls, or who will, and so really, if there was something in my life that I felt I wanted to do and there was tension around it, or I was bumping into, I couldn't do that, or I shouldn't do that, I started just unpacking it. Why can't I? And then why to that question? Because it's too expensive. Well, why is it too expensive? Is it really too expensive? Who's saying that? Who's telling me that story? Is it really inconvenient? What is the, and really starting to unravel these stories until I could just, thank you. You've served me. You've kept me safe. Appreciate you. Done.
So for you, it was the inquiry as to, is that real?
Right.
Is that a real belief, or is that a real story, or is that true?
Yeah. Is this true? Is this a true story? And is this I think we come with a lot of stories that aren't ours. There are parents, there are partners, we've picked them up, and is this really true for me? That's an important one.
So I love that. And what comes up for me is the question, well, if I'm really in my story, then it's totally true for me. Like if you ask me now, like, yeah, is it really true that you can't take time off? I'd be like, yes, it is really, really true. There's no way that I could take any time off. So how else do you get underneath there?
I got underneath there with a coach. Really, I know it's like a perfect intro. My coach, Meg Sylvester, lovingly, beautifully held space for me to look at these things that had kept me small and dim and not living at my full vibrancy and potential and vibration, and said, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this yours? Do you still want it? Okay, if not, let's. So there's nothing like that relationship, really.
I agree. And I think for both, I know that in my work with private clients, I can be going into a session with a client and feel tired, um, just kind of like, oh, but I know that the minute I step into that sacred space, that it is the wholeness in me that is serving the wholeness in them, and the wholeness in them that is serving the wholeness in me. And something happens. Energy comes bounding back, clarity, insights that I would have never, like so many times a client will say, oh my God, I can't believe that was just the perfect thing. And I'm like, thank you, God. Something's moving through us. So yes, that relationship of client and practitioner, client and coach is so sacred. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, why we're so passionate about what we're building at Guidely is there's nothing like this. And I found my coach on social media. I liked her feed. She posted a few things that really spoke to me and landed within my heart. And it was an investment. It was getting over one of the limiting beliefs I had, which was I'm not worth investing in, or my needs come last. It was a 4-figure investment to work with her, and it was worth every penny, because I feel like it was really just opening the book on what I was capable of, and now awareness and expanded intentions, and really just incredible. So we believe in that at Guidely, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. And
So excited.
We've had a couple tech hiccups, so we were going to launch in fall. We're in fall, and it's looking like we'll launch in winter, keeping it open and divine timing, but everything will unfold as it should.
Absolutely. So that's a lead into the next question really beautifully, is like, and it doesn't have to be around Guidely, but we all, I think in this field have the belief that there is really no such thing as failure. The only real failure is not continuing, is giving up. The only real failure is giving up. But so then failure can be conceptualized as growth, growing edge, soul work as opposed to ego work. And so with all of that in mind, what are your most cherished failures? What pearls did you take from them?
So one of my biggest failures, and failure is a word I don't love, because I do believe there are no failures. But
right.
when my first business failed, and I found myself at home with 2 toddlers and all of this beautiful merchandise, and it was the gift of a sewing machine that launched me into that next business. But really, what that gave me was an outlet and a tool and a connection back to my creative self. It started off with sewing things here and there and making things, and then I was creating things with my hands 8 to 10 hours a day. That feels incredible. And yes, you can burn out, but to make something out of nothing, it's divine. So that failure really led to this incredible, rich time period where I was just creating nonstop and creating new things and new products and new pieces and new, tangible items that no one wore. It was incredible.
Wow.
So yeah, one of my biggest, best failures. And then I'm in the heels or in the midst of a failed marriage. So that was one of the updates from the beginning. And so that's an interesting one that I'm still unpacking the lessons from, learning, feeling into, that when things don't go the way we think they will, or they don't look the way we think they should look, or that others think they should look, finding the lessons and the healing and the safe space within those feelings.
Beautiful. And thank you for being so vulnerable and open about that.
Absolutely.
And out of that, I know that clearly you stated some beautiful things that you're proud of. So what are the things that you're that bring you most joy at this point in your life and that you're most proud of out of those pearls?
Yeah, I'm so dang proud of myself. Like, really, I'm so proud of myself for showing up.
Yes.
And recently, this year, really, the bio that you read was written probably early 2019. So definite updates. This year, I've really started feeling my feelings, and really probably recently in the last couple months, like, it was always everything's fine, keeping it together, busy, go, 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 and not allowing space to really metabolize my feelings. And especially around a failing marriage, struggling teenagers with COVID, uncomfortable relationships with my parents. Really, we all have these things. Not everything is all rosy. And feeling them, giving myself the space to lay on my kitchen floor and cry for 20 minutes, or scream into the pillow, or laugh hysterically, physically sitting in the emotion. Because if we don't, they come out in times and in ways that aren't healthy.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I love that phrase that there is not one part of me that doesn't deserve to be loved and doesn't deserve to be appreciated.
When you said that earlier,
even the screaming into the pillow, even not one part, all of the warts, perceived warts, beautiful. Thank you. Okay. So I have a couple of rapid fire questions for you.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. So I have to say, I heard this, something like it. I was listening to a Brene Brown podcast.
Junkie
I know.
Here. Yeah.
It was her interview with oh my God, I can't remember his first name. Zendi. His book is called How to Be an Anti-Racist.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember his first name all of a sudden. I'm so sorry. But so I heard this and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm going to try it. So here's some rapid fire questions.
Yeah, so fun.
What are you binge watching right now?
I'm not watching a damn thing.
All right.
Nothing.
Okay. Not YouTube, no like little spiritual things.
No, in fact, I because I'm creating so much content and I'm interviewing people, and although that's slowed down a little bit lately, I find it very difficult to consume as well. And so I find that in my life, I go through phases where I'm consuming like crazy, shows and books and podcasts, and then phases where I'm only creating. And I'd love to find a middle, but I find that I do best when I'm kind of in one zone for several months, and then I'm in the next zone for several months.
Okay, so what was the last thing that you were watching or binge watched?
I binge watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon, and it was so funny. So
okay.
One of the lightest, funniest shows. And I think because I'm in it so deeply at work with personal and spiritual development and coaches and real conversations, that I like light, funny, surface level things to consume.
What is on your nightstand? What are you reading?
Oh, I've got several. So I have Initiation on my nightstand, and then I'm also just diving into the 72 Names of God, which is incredible already. And Burnout, which was a Brene Brown. She interviewed these sisters on burnout, and that's really where I knew what I was doing with my emotions, and I would just want to share this one analogy that they share about feeling emotions, because I see some people commenting on this about not crying and emotions, is that it's like being in a tunnel. Did you listen to this one?
Yes.
Yeah, it was incredible. And it's like, we can't come out of the tunnel this way. We have to just go through the tunnel so we can get to the light. And so whenever I feel this emotional wave, especially the last few weeks, yes, Logan, Elizabeth Haig initiation, I stay in the tunnel. I stay in it and I feel into it. And I'm like, all right, we're in this tunnel. And yeah, I didn't know that I could feel feelings as deeply and intensely as I could. And then I didn't know that I could feel so clean and pure and fresh and relieved as I do after I feel the feelings.
So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So true. Wow. I'm just still reeling. That was beautiful. Okay. Last nature reconnect. Last time you were like, you really had a reconnection in nature.
Oh, yesterday. Yeah. I mean,
Beautiful.
it's a huge part of my practice, and I know that, and I can't hold space for others or even myself if I'm not plugging in my batteries. So I even had a hard conversation yesterday, and I went straight to the mountain preserve. I mean, it's just such a part of who I am. And if I can't get to the mountains, which usually I can, it's just barefoot outside, and it's hearing the trees and the birds and breathing deeply. And so every single day I connect with nature.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I know. I love that as well. And that resonates with me. You shared with us one of your affirmations, but I had a question is, what is your go-to affirmation or go-to principle?
Yeah. So the most delightful opportunities are hovering in my field. And if it's just this air of expectation, like the universe loves to delight us. That's the law. And so I think if we expect that, and don't get me wrong, I get caught up in the noise and, drama and other things. But if I can drop back into that energy of waiting for delight, it walks around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it. And most influential person in your life, mentor, teacher, relative, family member?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. I know I talked about my coach, and we're not especially close, but I do feel like she gave me keys that I didn't know were already in my hand.
Beautiful.
She really unlocked entire new chapters in my life, working with her and being seen and held in that way. And so I would say that's an incredibly influential relationship. And my daughters, they're such a mirror in a parent-child relationship. And with each one of them, I'm faced with a different aspect of myself, and I have the opportunity to be the mom I needed and the daughter I needed, and create this space. So each one of them is incredibly different and hugely impactful, and I'm sure they always will be. So
absolutely. Oh, okay. And if there was one question, I'll put it in two ways. Is there a question that, since you are an interviewer and an outstanding one, what question would you ask that I haven't? Or if that doesn't come to you right offhand, what is the one thing that you would like us to know, or piece of information that you want to share? It could be something about you. It could be some random fact that you have in your head that you like, anything. So any of those two, like either of those.
So there's two questions that I love to ask that are my favorite. And it is, if you could share with me a critical point in your life journey and a message you would tell yourself if you could go back in time. That's my favorite question. And then my second, which is always fun and funny because you never know what you're going to get, is describe yourself in one statement. And people, my coaches, my guides on the platform, they either get it right away or it takes them 5 minutes and they have to think through it. So I'm going to answer the second one. And I like to say I'm a human sparkler. So that's it. Just, doing my best to spread light and love in any situation, whether I've created it or not.
I am so grateful for this time, Shannon. I'm so grateful for the way that the universe has brought us together, for that delightful experience that was hovering in my awareness, waiting to be realized, known as my relationship with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so grateful.
So grateful too. And I love the comments and questions that came in. I'll try and go back in the feed and answer them. I'll type in answers for you guys, but it really means a lot when there's back and forth. So thanks to your wonderful audience.
I know we had some great comments, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And just knowing that each one of us is led to an ever increasing good, an ever widening field of awareness, and an ever deeper connection with the source of all of life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks,
Thank
JJ.
you.